You're listening to another episode of Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. This is a place we're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
Well, how are y'all doing today? Do you see I'm wearing a different hat today? Instead of my usual Mr. Allard's hat, I have Thryv. And I have the local Thryv representative, Deedee Simpson, here. We're friends from the business networking group we're in, and she's just thrilled to be here. So, well, a little bit, aren't you? She's camera shy, she says, but she'll do fine. Anyway, we're going to talk about her business and what social media promotion does for you and all the things. You know, I'm a client, so I can tell you about that from a personal standpoint, and it works for me, and I'm sure it'll work for y'all. And we're going to talk about, you know, this whole aspect of social media. I'm learning all the time about this. Speaking of social media, how you doing, Taylor?
I'm well.
How was your weekend?
It was great.
Yeah, I had my family over yesterday, watched Cowboys and, you know, whatnot. It was great.
I had a bucket of popcorn watching everybody's reaction to Elon buying Twitter.
Oh,
Speaking
really?
of social.
Yeah. See, you may not know this about Taylor, but he's the biggest Elon fanboy in Johnson County. You know, how much does Elon pay you for all this publicity you give him?
I can neither confirm nor deny that I get paid.
All right.
Elon's laying off a lot of people.
Yeah, why is that, by the way? Do you keep track with all that other stuff, like what's happening on Twitter, what's happening on Instagram?
Well, he's laying off people because they aren't in his camp.
You mean they're not...
Fake news.
Yeah, see, you think I'm conservative, you and Taylor. Anyway, let's talk about the sponsors. Then we'll talk about Elon and everything else, also about Deedee's background in this, because she's new to our area, and I'm always interested to talk to people who are new to our area. What do they think of Texas and all this? But we'll get to that in a second. Here we have CrossFit Burleson, 317 Southwest Wilshire. Get a good workout. You know, it's a pretty extensive workout, and so they have trainers, they have plans, they have programs. It's well lit. It's a good place to go. Thank you, Daniel, for all you do for this community, because he won't tell you, but I will. He does a lot of things off the record for a lot of people, a lot of good things. So thank you, Daniel, for all you do. Thank you to Shandy, the Stogsdill Group, and reminds me I'll be promoting Reinspire after this run of ads because they have fundraisers coming up. But Shandy is the president of that board of Reinspire, but she also does real estate amongst her other duties. So if you're looking to move and buy in this area, you need to talk to her, because the market here, you may be reading the papers, the market's slowing down, but not here. There was a headline in the Dallas paper last week about the DFW market still one of the hottest in the country. And you just moved here, didn't you?
I moved here 3 years ago.
Well, I mean, but to Burleson.
Burleson, yeah. I've only lived here about a month and a half.
What do you think? It's great, isn't it?
I love Burleson.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
I chose Burleson.
Well, and I'm going to ask you about that too, because we talk a lot about local stuff, you know, about the business, about the economy. I have several guests here from the city or other aspects of it. And since I've been here for 31 years, I guess I qualify as an old timer. I've lived here longer by far than any other place I've ever lived. And so it's interesting, but I'll get your perspective in a minute. But also call her, Shandy, if you need to be looking for real estate-based business, because she can help you with all of that. Also, Auto at Our Place. I was just there this morning. I was helping one of my friends there with a paper she's writing. And so...
great food, great guy.
It is. And we do a lot of our stuff there. We do a lot of B&I business there. That's where Greg and Williams and I'm sure you've been there. How many times do you think you've been there? About a dozen since you joined B&I?
I've been there. I went to the other location multiple times prior to moving down here and getting part of the group.
You know, I've never been to that one in Mansfield, but maybe I need to do it. But I don't know. I like it. The waitress.
Good food, and Otto's a neat guy.
Yes, and all the wait staff is dressed up for Halloween. They give out candy, and they're just. What I like about the wait staff is that it's been there a while. You get a lot of familiarity. They know who you are, what you're drinking, so to speak.
Well, you're there almost every day.
Seems like it. I bet in a month's time I'll go there about 6 times at least, just for B&I or Sunday school. Ben and I have a breakfast club every other Thursday at the break of dawn. I was like, Otto is open and serves breakfast all day. God is 24/7. What's this hang up about getting up early? But there you are. Our Place Restaurant. And also combined with the next sponsor, Wild Cigar and Culture, he and Chris are sponsoring an election contest that, you post an I voted photo on my Facebook page or on Mr. Allard's page or his page, whatever. We'll put you on the list. And I think a lot of you have voted, just have neglected to let me know. And if you don't get the sticker, I'll take your word for it. I mean, That's good. And as far as the voting and all this other stuff, you need to pull the mic a little closer. Taylor's telling me that on a.
Okay.
Is that close enough?
I've never been accused of being quiet.
That I can imagine, but still, it is funny. Oops, hang on, I need to get this. I'm trying to get all my stuff set because I'm trying to share this show with various shows and whatnot, various other flat platforms. It's a beating. Facebook, you do a lot of Facebook page work, don't you?
Personally, no.
No, for your business. I mean,
I sell business automation software, which helps small businesses post on social media. But that's only one of 24 components.
Yeah, it's always changing, always having to wrestle with it, whatnot. But anyway, back to the matter at hand. So thank you, Chris, at Wild Cigar and Culture. It's a great place to go. Have you ever been there by any chance?
I have not.
Yeah. Does your husband smoke cigars?
He does, and that is on his list of places to go when he's in town.
Right. Now, well, he lives, right now, he's living in New Mexico?
New Mexico.
Yeah. Well, soon, hopefully, he can move to Texas.
But I see him a lot.
Well, good. But anyway, Wild Cigar and Culture, you can go there, have a smoke, and have a decent drink. It's quiet, do business there. I like it, and it's well lit, well ventilated. It's a good place.
Great location.
It is. And I've known this young man since he was 16. He's one of my former students, as was Daniel, as was Shandy. So it's good. It's really interesting to watch them develop into adults. They are business people of repute. Anyway, thank you, Chris, at Wild Cigar. Also, Tiffany Nico over at Local Life Magazine. It's coming out this week. I don't know if you're familiar with this as much, Local Life, but it goes to 30,000 homes. It's still print ads, and people think, well, everything's online. You'd be surprised how many people prefer print ads as well because they can hold it in their hand and whatever else.
I'm aware.
Yeah,
I also sell the phone book.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I guess that's true. Well, this is a really great magazine because, like I said, it goes to all these homes, and a lot of businesses will get multiple copies. Like our place will have a stack of them. That's where I usually pick it up. And so it's probably the best local advertisement other than Mr. Allard's Neighborhood, of course. But there you are. Also, some of these people. Gail at Southern Jim, she's one of our friends. She'll be on in a couple of weeks, and she has the same trepidations you do. Like, I don't know, it's going to be tough. And it's easy. It's easy. If I can do it, Lord have mercy, I'll be fine. Southern Gym on the top of the Windmill Building. You've been there before.
My wedding ring.
Oh, yeah? She redid it for you?
Yeah, she added 2 bands to my wedding ring
Did she
recently.
Well, isn't that nice? And she does really good work. Robin works there at least 2 to 3 days a week, so she gets to play with the jewelry. And
Taryn is her right hand, and she's amazing.
You know Taryn then. I've met her a couple of times, but they have a really good crew, and it's a full service jeweler. It's not just a jewelry store.
Right.
She's a gymnologist. That's the word. So she has all the credentials and accreditations.
Custom jewelry.
And repairs. They do a lot of repair work. They just did my wife's wedding ring. She had a little bit of repairs done, and it worked out well. So, and then also our friend Michelle over at Hot Works, over at 731, over by Chicken Salad Chick and the Kroger store and the movie theater and all that. And she has a really nice outfit working out over there too. She has 11 different workouts at infrared system. Really, a lot of people swear by it. And a lot of our crew swear by it at BNI. It's just a good place. And Michelle's a really good business person. I've had her on probably about 4 or 5 times since I've been doing this. And sometimes we just talk about other things other than workout related topics. And so it's always an interesting conversation. She's very bright. And so Hot Works over 731, check it out. Also, another friend of ours, Melissa Harmon at Texas Farm Bureau at 682-804-0534.
You're just mentioning all my friends.
That's exactly right, yeah. Yeah, Melissa is my insurance agent now. You've heard her talk about it. And I'm glad I had an agent to do it because, switching over insurance isn't just a matter of clicking buttons on the computer and hit submit.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
It is a pain in the rump.
You don't want to do that.
So you want to have somebody that knows what they're doing, and so she helped navigate all the paperwork flow that's supposed to go on. But over at the Texas Farm Bureau, collectively, she saved me a few dollars, but I also was able to greatly increase my life insurance. I mean, I was saving on one end, but I was now able to afford better life insurance. It always did bother me that Robin was a bit more intent on me getting better life insurance. What does that mean? I don't know. Also, Taylor, do you have that Re-Inspire logo? No, we're moving on. There we go. Christmas ornaments from Re-Inspire. This is their fundraiser. We're going to be promoting that for the next few weeks. There's a couple places you can go check them out. One is over in Cleburne, over at Bennett's, which is an office supply store in downtown Cleburne, around this courthouse square. And then you're going to have also at Accents at Burleson, which is by the railroad tracks in Old Town. And I've been there for Christmas stuff, for gifts and such. And it's really a very nice place. It's got a lot of good stuff. And it said basically they're asking for a $15 donation. So you can order them and pick them up there and help Re-Inspire. You may not be familiar with Re-Inspire, but they help foster kids who are aging out of the process into adulthood.
I've actually heard you talk about it before.
Thanks for listening. Anyway, so I guess we start in the beginning. You went to school for something different than you're doing now, right?
I was originally going to school to be a movie critic back before the internet.
Do you find yourself doing that now when you watch movies, like taking notes? When you're watching something on Netflix.
Oh, the Oscars used to be my New Year's Eve, but actually I've outgrown a lot of that. I just enjoy movies.
I should enjoy movies, but I just don't watch them very much. I watch more sports. A lot of people think I sit around and watch news talk all day long. I'm not that big a freak. I mean, I watch mostly baseball or whatever's going on, and then if there's nothing on, I'll read. But I'm not into that. But you must have a pretty good knowledge of.
I used
movies.
to have more. I just named my cat Cagney, and everybody asks me, "Did you name it after Cagney and Lacey?"
No.
And I'm like, "Really?"
No, I was the first one when you
James
said that.
Cagney.
That's what I thought of, but then I'm 60 years old. I mean, I thought James Cagney was exactly
Yeah,
who
but
he was
knowing
talking
who
about.
the greats are, that's important in everybody's life.
Yeah, it is. Who's your favorite actor then?
Danny Kaye.
Danny Kaye. I mean, that's a good choice. I mean, that's not the first one I would have thought of, but I thought a lot of his movies were pretty funny. I liked
he
them.
was very, very funny.
And my wife makes me watch White Christmas every year, so my wife's a Christmas movie person.
He's my favorite actor, but if you ask me what my favorite movie is, it's Aliens.
Aliens?
Yeah.
The second one with oh gosh, that's an intense movie.
I'm a girl geek. I have alien stuff all over my house. I have Star Wars stuff all over my house.
There you go. Good for you.
Star Trek all over my house. I am a girl geek.
Well, see, I was old enough to see Star Wars. But now
In the theater.
In the theater when it first came out in 1976. Oh, you must have been a kid then, a little baby.
Hey.
Yeah, I was
So
not
what?
in high school, but
I was 9 when it came out.
Yeah.
And I watched it in the theater. It was great.
Yeah, and it was, I remember those. I used to go to the theater more, but I found the last few years people don't know how to behave in the theater very well.
No, and it's just gotten to the point where it's so expensive that a family can't go as a family unless they go in the middle of the afternoon.
Or now everybody has a big screen TV. They can get close to the movie experience without all the hair pulling.
You can actually get a lot of the movies on your big screen even while it's in the theater.
Right.
So
where did you go to school for this movie critic background?
Originally, I was going to ASU, Arizona State University, but I ended up leaving school and going to work. And after a couple of years, when my son was born, I decided I needed to finish my degree, and I went to Northern Arizona University. I was a lumberjack.
That's what they are. I was thinking it was either lumberjacks or something like that.
And I graduated from there with a degree in business administration. And straight out of college, went to work for Sherwin-Williams Automotive. I can paint your car.
Oh, really? Wait, I mean, you weren't in sales. You were in the actual application of the paint?
I was an operations manager in Boulder, Colorado, straight out of college, and worked there for quite a few years. Like I said, I could paint your car. I did a lot of paint matching, paint mixing, so on and so forth. Shortly after that, after I worked there for quite a few years, 9/11 happened, and a lot of companies were tightening their belt, and I got laid off. So I moved back to Arizona and worked for USAA for a couple of years.
Oh.
Working with the military, which was really rewarding.
Well, your father's a veteran, right?
No, actually, my father's not.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of somebody else then. I am thinking of somebody else, come to think of it, but that's because I'm getting old. But whatever.
My dad was a business owner in Arizona. He was the Toro distributor for 32 years.
Get you a lawnmower then.
Lawnmowers and sprinklers. He did all the golf courses in Arizona.
And so what got you into social media?
I actually applied for a job when we relocated back to Tucson, Arizona, and they said they liked my moxie and they hired me on as a sales rep, even though I had no sales experience. I was an operations person.
Yeah.
And it's almost 12 years later, and I'm one of their top salespeople.
No doubt.
Because I don't sell, I create relationships.
Well, that's kind of what Shandy's motto is as well. You know, turning transactions into relationships is her motto. And I guess it's your motto too, so to speak. And then you have Thryv here. Has it always been with Thryv?
Thryv absorbed the local phone books, Super Pages, Dex Knows, and YP.com. And software is what we do.
And we joke about this in the B&I meetings. What is this little logo?
You know what? I have no idea what it is. Some people say he looks like an orange starburst. I always thought he looked like a key on a keyboard. It's whatever you want it to be.
A very Rorschach.
The Thryv
logo.
guy.
The Thryv guy. That's why. But it just is. It does amuse us though. It really does. We pop that thing up there. We just kind of get a little bit amused because it's just such a.
It's funny you say the Rorschach test though.
Yeah.
My son was the Rorschach test for Halloween one year. Happy Halloween.
I guess it makes sense. It could be any costume you want him to be there, you know. But,
No, he was the actual Rorschach test.
Oh, okay. That's very creative. Now, he's not still Halloween age. He's in like a mid-20s.
You are never too old for Halloween. What is wrong with you?
It's Satan's holiday. That's what's wrong with it. No, but anyway.
Satan.
My son is 26, and I guarantee you he is dressing up for Halloween, as is my husband, as am I. It was a requirement when I married my husband that he would dress up every year with me.
Well, what's he going to be then?
I don't know.
What are you going to be?
Well, I think I'm going to be a construction worker,
Okay.
but I'm not sure yet. I know it's tonight, but the world has gotten very busy lately, but I have a huge box of different kinds of costumes. So I will take a picture of whatever it is and make sure you get to see it.
Okay. You know what tonight means for me? Game 3 of the World Series. Okay, but back to Thryv.
Hey, my son is a Phillies fan.
Well, good.
He's been calling me every time they won. He's like, oh my God.
Well, they weren't expected to do this well, I could tell you. He's not an Eagles fan, is he?
No, he's a Phillies fan.
Okay.
And has been for years.
Okay. But as far as the social media thing, see, I even at my age, I don't think of myself as an expert of any kind, but I'm learning about how to use social media and how to make it work for me for this platform and other places. But in an education, we had to continually be upgraded in not social media so much, but just technology in general. In fact, the school districts, they rather frown on social media activity from their employees. But it had to constantly be readjusting to the educational software and the platforms we're using. Do you find that to be something you have to deal with all the time?
Well, the internet changes constantly, you know, and they expect in the next 5 years that every small business will be using software in their business to run their business. And that's what Thryv is. It's business automation software that has 24 different components to help small businesses manage how the internet changes.
Right. No, when I get, material from Thryv, they always are offering me other opportunities. I just use the social media aspect of it, but there's other aspects of it that aren't so much based for publication to the public, but to how you run your business internally, about invoicing, billing, and all this, and scheduling. I use the scheduling a lot. For me, I have a fairly small outfit, so billing isn't an issue. I just got to make sure Taylor gets paid on time.
Yes, sir.
It's tomorrow, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I got the money.
He gets paid on Tuesdays?
No, on the first of the month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I do like to take care of that as me. I hate having things hanging over my head.
You're one of the best.
Thank you, sir. But it's also a little OCD in me. If I have a bill, I'll pay it that day because I don't want to, wait because it'll be hanging over my head. But
I'm similar to that, but I always overpay. And I do that because you never know what's going to happen.
Well, and also I believe Thryv has a means that I could just automatically schedule payments.
Yes, and we also included in Thryv, we also have Thryv Pay. And Thryv Pay is equal to any other merchant services as far as the fees and whatnot. Plus, we do financing for certain businesses where the client can actually create financing for their clients with this third party so that they can get paid up front and not have to worry about it. And then the relationship is between their client and the finance company.
So basically, this Thryv Pay is similar to, say, Venmo or PayPal or Venmo or these other outfits. Veal, I guess they're calling it. Or Zelle, that's what it's called. Sorry, Veal.
Well, except that it's a credit card vendor.
Okay.
So that if you wanted to accept it's more similar to Square, Clover, so basically you can maybe offer payment options on your website or have a place where your clients can log in or actually put a pay button on your actual invoice itself. So they get the invoice and they can hit pay now and pay the invoice.
And I guess you would use it. And, people that do, they find that pretty convenient, I'd imagine.
Very convenient. And we actually over time save them a lot of money because we don't have any hidden fees. A lot banks and all that, they always have hidden fees. I mean, we know that we've all experienced hidden fees in our Verizon bill or, but
the worst is airlines, actually, I would imagine.
Yeah. I mean, all these big companies have hidden fees and Thryv Pay doesn't. And everybody that I have signed up with Thryv Pay inside their Thryv have been very happy. Well,
one thing I will talk about is the service I get from Thryv is that when I need assistance, besides you being at the BNI meetings, if I needed something on Thursday afternoon, for example, they have a whole staff set up for that. I've dealt with some of your staff on Zoom conversations, and they really do push strongly their customer service, that their support system.
Well, anybody that works with me here in Burleson, I live in Burleson. So if a need arises, I can get on a Zoom or get in my car and drive over to where somebody is at any time.
Yeah.
As far as my citywide clients, same thing. If I need to get in my car, I can, but Zoom is a very efficient way of helping someone right away. But I always tell my clients I'm available to them 8 to 8, Monday through Friday, by Zoom, by text, by email. And, I'm on top of it. But you're right. I do have a support staff for individual things where we have 24-hour chat. We have a 24-hour phone number. For things, if you're up at 3:00 in the morning and you're doing something in your Thryv and you need help, there's help available. But I am local.
So if you have a local client, you can meet at Dwell or our place or something like that, and hammer out whatever the issue is. I haven't had really issues so much is that I've just been made aware of all the other things that I'm available for. I mean, that other things I could be using it for, other than strictly one aspect of it. There's all these other aspects. That's what I've been using your support staff with. It isn't so much I've had problems or whatever, but other than instruction on how to use it, to say, well, here, Allard, do you want to look at these things also that you could use to promote your show? So it's really good because once you become a client, it isn't like thanks for the money, and if you have a problem, call our 1-800 number over in India. You're going to have personal service.
Exactly. Like I said, I am available to my clients locally, and when we sell a product, there's training up front, and I came and sat with you in person. I could have done it with you in Zoom, but it was easier for you and I to sit together and walk through different things.
I remember that. I remember I was frustrating you because I was clicking out of the page too soon.
You clicked before we needed to be clicking. Yes, you were a click monster. There's no doubt about that.
You start looking at me like, what is your problem? But it's just funny. But
talk louder and stop clicking so much.
Yeah, she tells me in the meeting I don't talk loud enough, so I'm just saying you're not listening loud enough. But when we were here getting set up, it was about April. And we sat here like we were talking about, and Taylor was here getting education as well. Of course, he picked it up right away. But, what I use it for primarily is to notify people that there's a podcast available.
I get my notifications from you every day.
Yes,
and I watch them.
Thank you.
Whereas having to log in somewhere else to find it, I probably wouldn't have.
Well, maybe this is a good time to talk about how to get it on that phone text chain, the Mr. Allard's neighborhood text. To tell you the truth, it's been a couple of months since I've done it. Well, I remember the code word, but I can't remember the number.
85100. So if you text 85100 and put in Mr. Allard,
yeah, there it is.
You can get the show sent directly to your phone, and it's just a link you click, and it'll immediately pull it up on your phone. So I could be, doing dishes or sorting laundry, and I just hit the button, and it's playing in the background, and I can hear your show.
Well, since I've been connected to YouTube, and this is what that number will do for you. My numbers have gone up because like the convenience you say, they don't have to go and log into Facebook and all this other stuff. And the shows come out on Apple and Spotify the next day usually, if not that day. If it's like something of critical time, Taylor will put on that day, but normally it's within 24 hours. But the YouTube and the Facebook are live, and I've had several people say they prefer YouTube than Facebook for various reasons. And I send out the message, like after my class today, around 2:00, I'll be sending you a message saying, hey, check her out. Check out Thryv. And it really does help my numbers.
Yeah.
And, so it's worth it to me.
And it's another function in the Thryv is marketing messaging.
Mm-hmm. And then also we could connect it to Facebook, this messaging, and I could share it with various pages. But what's always interesting to me is when I look up the monthly downloads from Apple. Libsyn is the outfit I use to connect to Apple and Spotify and the rest. You've connected me to like all these other platforms I never even heard of, but I am getting numbers from them.
Listings management, where we make sure you appear on 60 plus secondary search engines. Everybody thinks Google's the only place people find other things, and that's not true. I always like to explain it this way. Google is people say, oh, I found you on Google. Well, Google is just a library. You still have to pick a book.
Right. I'm going to pull up my Libsyn account because it'll tell me which platforms I'm getting it from. It also gives me my numbers and such, but it also tell me where those numbers are coming from.
Yeah, Thryv is an app on your phone.
Right, and
don't sign up for it on the website. People call me directly. If you do that, you're going to start getting phone calls.
Well, I'm going to look at my numbers here, and then when you go down and said, look on these various platforms, like I didn't realize there'd be that many. Like most of them come from Apple or Spotify, particularly Apple. But here's a couple of I've gotten some downloads for Podnods Crawler. I've gotten try another one here. There's Overcast, Pocket Cast. There's Safari, but there's a few. Castbox, GSA. I mean, I guess these might mean something to you, but I don't know where you find these. But somebody out there does. And also what I like about is I can find out who's been listening. It's not personally, but where they're listening is a better way to put it.
So remember I told you a while back that when you appear out there, new locations are added all the time, and they copy your information from trusted sources. So if your listings are incorrect, they're going to copy incorrect information. But when your listings are correct, then they get copied over, and that's what's happening is those podcast areas are copying from trusted sites like Google, like Bing, like Yahoo, like Manta or bbb.org.
Right, and the Libsyn will tell me where they're coming from. And I just looked on there. It's like I had some listeners from Australia and some from looks like the Netherlands. Now I have no idea how they caught me, but that's because that's what Thryv does for me. You know?
We are an international company. We're in the United States, Canada, and Australia.
And so maybe some guy was just noodling around and saw something he let's see what's going on. Not so much in Burleson, but maybe see what this guy is about and whatever else. And it works because I wasn't getting that kind of coverage before. I was getting pretty decent numbers, but now I got more than decent numbers.
I'm so glad to hear that.
When people ask me, like at B&I, when you're talking to them about maybe looking into your product, I definitely could be a testimonial.
Oh, thank you.
And because it's not hard to work now. I mean, I'm really technically challenged, as Taylor will tell you, but it's really pretty easy to use after you learn how to do it. I use the scheduling now. As far as I use some of the aspects of Thryv for like information for myself.
Right.
As much as
anything there's
else.
A lot of stuff that runs in the background. I mean, once you set it up, you don't have to worry about it. Like it monitors for your reviews out on the internet and brings them all into one central location. You can post to 5 different platforms, all from one post to share to all. A CRM, a full CRM, marketing messaging, invoicing, calendar.
I got like right
so
here,
much.
Here on the phone. See, guys, here it is. I got here a message from somebody, an email message from somebody who caught me through a Thryv boosted podcast. It was a local woman here in town. Said, I just moved here. I don't know anything about it. And I guess she's a client as well because she messaged me through the Thryv messaging services.
Actually, she probably messaged you through your Thryv services, and we have a centralized inbox that works for no matter where somebody's messaging you from. It's all going into one central place.
Yeah, and it's like, wow, that's kind of neat that, to have somebody that just moved in town and they're looking around for some news and they came to Mr. Allard's neighborhood.
That's great.
Yeah, well, it is, and that's one of the things I've been like.
Well, you're very ingrained in the culture of Burleson, and so people know who you are, and your sponsors speak about you. I speak about you.
Well, I appreciate that very much.
So it doesn't surprise me that they happened upon you.
Well, what's really helped in terms of this show is that in my humble opinion, has become the go-to place for promoting not just your businesses, but for the nonprofits. Like we had Reinspire and their Christmas thing. I'm going to have on Thursday, Jennifer Woods from Harvest House will be here. I'm sure I'll be promoting stuff for some of my favorite nonprofits, like Next Step Women's Center, things like that. And and people ask me how my show's changed. It's the biggest change is it's less me and more guests, and I like it that way. They hear me enough. Well, we are entitled to your opinion. Yeah, there you go. Well, last week I had 2 shows by myself, which is the only 2 shows in October. This November, the first show I don't have a guest is the 7th, and I saved the 7th and the 10th for talk about the election coming up next week, and that kind of thing. And the BNI mixer on the 10th. Yeah, I was going to mention that too. Yeah, I have a class at night, but I told the kids, and they said, Mr. Allard, you don't want to miss that. It's business, and so I'm giving them a walk that Thursday. But I've invited a couple of my sponsors to be there, and a couple other people that. Well,
it'll be at the Windmiller Building on the 10th from 6 to 8 p.m., and it's a BNI networking event.
And that's another thing that we could both talk about. I know personally I benefit from BNI. I know that without it, I probably would not have had the 3 sponsors from BNI itself, Gayla and Michelle and Melissa. Plus, I've had plenty of them here on the show, and it's always been good information for people here, like this social media. A lot of people my age, they don't really think about it that much. So I guess this is a plug for BNI. You want to come to the mixer or come to one of our meetings at 8:30 on Wednesdays at the Hampton, get you free breakfast because they have breakfast every morning. And I really, when I joined BNI, it was Camille that taught me into it. And I didn't know what it'd be. I thought it might be a lot of schmoozing, drinking coffee, passing cards out. No, it's a structured meeting.
Yeah, I really enjoy the meeting. I've made some really wonderful friends. They are the group is why I wanted to live in Burleson, because I was coming down here every week, and all I wanted to do was go to coffee and not drive an hour to go to coffee.
Yeah.
But the people in Burleson overall, I have quite a few clients that I had prior to BNI down here in Burleson and Cleburne and Crowley. I work all over the Metroplex, but the people in this area are genuine, nice people, and I just like the smaller town feel. I really enjoy it down here.
Well, I believe
I say down here. Yeah. I live here now, so it's not up or down.
Yeah, but I've lived here since '91, and last Thursday I had 2 of the council members on who also have extensive background in this town, Ronnie Johnson and Rick Green. We talked mostly about how Burleson's changed. When I got here in '91, it really was a cow town, as I called it. Most people worked north in Fort Worth or Crowley or something, and it didn't really have much to offer in terms of like the stuff they offer now, not just restaurants and stores, but just social activities and such. And basically, the town had 2 activities, either church related or the football team.
Right.
And now you got all these other things going on, and we have all the issues a growing city has, infrastructure and property taxes.
It's an active area, but it's not a overly busy area, and that's why I like it.
Yeah, and we got a couple of cranks out there, like every community, but most most people are pretty nice.
Yeah, but they're local cranks.
Every town has them. There's somebody got to do it. Some people think I'm the local crank, so there you go. Maybe they're right, But as far
Maybe
as
they are.
they are right. I really am. The older I get, the more curmudgeonly I get. I am getting to be.
You are a curmudgeon. I will say that.
Yeah,
But
you're like, hey, get off my lawn.
I've noticed I think the older you get, the more sensitive you become to noise, more sensitive you become to traffic. It's like, I've been doing this for this many years. I don't want to do it anymore, So,
well, I do find myself not minding going 2-3 days, just, isolated in my home, doing my stuff there and whatever else. I don't have to be out and about and feel like I'm missing anything. Used to be, particularly when I was younger, when I was in school, I felt like, gosh, I should be at that ball game or at that play or whatever. Now I'm like, I'll read about it in the paper. I'm fine.
My son comes home for Christmas and he's like, Mom, there's nothing to do. I'm like, there's a lot to do. I wish there was less to do because I feel guilty not doing more.
Oh, well. But also, this community does real well in times of, we have some sort of crisis situation, like we did with this Snowmageddon. The church has really, picked up the game, and a lot of other private individuals were helping out. And then, we even last time Burleson had a really bad weather event. It's been quite some time since we had like a weather event that was making the news. It was about 15 years ago. We had a really bad storm, tore down a lot of trees, and people just pick up, what they can to help out. And and Jennifer of Harvest House will tell you about that. I went to drop off some stuff about 2 weeks ago, and they had a mountain of clothes. They'll go through them quickly, but my gosh, I promise you that it had to be a pile of them that was about 20 feet long and about 10 to 15 feet high of just sacks of clothes.
Wow.
I thought, how in the world are they going to go through that? And I said, well, we will.
That's great.
Well, that's typical. And it's always been a good place for us to live. My kids went to school here. They were born in the Fort Worth Hospital. Both of them at Methodist, but they're Burleson kids,
right?
And so it's been a good place.
Well, I've wanted to live in Texas my whole life. I'm from Arizona originally, and I've always wanted to live in Texas. And when the opportunity came up, I said, I'm going.
Why Texas?
There's a sense of God, country, love thy neighbor.
You gotcha.
And no matter where you live, everybody knows that Texas is like that. And that aligns with my own personal values. So I'm like, I want to live in Texas.
It's amazing you said that, because I've talked to several of our BNI friends who are from out of state. Like about 10 days ago, I had Lisa and Morris Smith. And they're not from Texas, but they got here as soon as they could, kind of thing. And they love it here. They lived in Georgia and they lived in Tennessee, but when they had an opportunity to move to Texas, they did for the same reasons. Morris has talked about it.
There's a pride of, like I said, God, country, and love thy neighbor. And it's really a strong sense of we're here, we're American, and we're going to fight for what we believe. And to me, that's what being an American's all about.
And Sarah Pierce, one of our friends, came from Oregon. Same thing. Christina Beagley, one of our friends from BNI.
Oregon.
Yeah, came from Oregon, and they both came for the same reason. They said they didn't like what was happening in their state, and they wanted to move to a state where they could exercise a little freedom.
So they wanted to move from a very liberal situation to a much more conservative situation.
Well, which is interesting.
I can relate to that.
Well, but Sarah and Christina, if you ask them politically, they're pretty moderate. They moved to Texas because they could be moderate and not have to be hassled. By forces of liberalism, if you will. I mean, Christina and Sarah probably, I don't know how much politics they think, but they strike me as like neither far left or far right at all. But they moved here so they can be what they wanted to be.
Right. Well, Arizona has always been, has always been red.
Not lately.
And now it's purple. Well, and there are parts of Texas that are purple.
Well, there's some to dark blue, like Austin and Houston. But see, Texas, it's interesting. Whether you call us the state Democrat or Republican, because I grew up, it was all Democrat, but it's always been pretty conservative. Party affiliation in Texas really didn't mean a lot until the last few years, because, even the Democrats are at the most moderate. A lot of them are pretty conservative.
Right.
And now
See, I wouldn't call myself a conservativist or a moderate or a liberal. I would call myself a constitutionalist. I believe in the Constitution, and I believe in the golden rule, and treat people the way you want to be treated.
Well, and that's kind of how a lot of Texans feel. In fact, I teach a course every semester on Texas government and politics, and the truth there is, most Texans, when it comes to politics, are like, meh, I can take it or leave it. I mean, because they want to be left alone as much as anything else. And who's doing the bugging, it doesn't matter. Most Texans just like, we want enough government to keep the streets safe and such, but
strong military, strong fiscal responsibility, and
they're not, Texas as a public, I mean, they're just not as political as, say, like Minnesota or Massachusetts or California is.
They aren't as social issue oriented.
No, they're not.
They're more of, what's good for the country.
Yeah, right. And let me make my money and leave me alone.
Pay my taxes if I have to.
If I have to. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. Yeah. But anyway, I'd love it here. Of course, I'm the only person in my family for like the last 4 generations on either side of my family that was born outside of either Oklahoma or Texas. I was born in a military base in North Carolina. Everybody else is Texan or Oklahoman. And so we're kind of grained in here pretty tight, so to speak. But it's a good place to live. And, you find the business climate here good? To do your business? I mean,
business owners, there's a lot of generational business, father to son, mother to daughter, lots of carrying on the family tradition of running the business. And I think the hard part for any industry is that the internet has moved so fast, and small businesses get a phone call every day. I'm with Google. Well, let me tell you something. Google does not make outbound calls. So if you get a call from Google, unless you put in a code that has them calling you to verify a code, it's not Google.
Yeah. Well, you gave me a good piece of advice that, because I get offers all the time. Hey, join our podcast platform, or we want you to, connect with them. You told me that they were really serious, they would call, not just send a blast email out. And so I ignore all that anyway. I wouldn't take it anyway because I got y'all.
Right.
It's no point in that. But that's another thing that you taught me, is that the serious ones will make personal contact. And even then, you better be skeptical. If they email you, just delete it, move on.
Well, what I told you was that Facebook is not going to ask you to click a link in an email. Facebook will email you and say, log into your account. And once you're in your account, you can then get the message from Facebook. If they're sending you a message asking you to do something in an email, it's not a legitimate email. Because Facebook, your bank, nobody's going to ask you to click a link.
Here's the thing. I wonder if you come across this, because you got people my age who are maybe still social media phobic or internet phobic or whatever else. Do you find you have to kind of educate us? Like, no, it's not the monster. It's going to help.
No, what I say to my clients is, if you have a question, email me or call me, and I'd be happy to investigate it for you. You did that. You sent me an email about Facebook is saying they're going to dismantle my Facebook page. Facebook is not going to email you and ask you to do anything other than log into your account.
The only group I've had trouble with is Google, trying to get that Google in my business. I've tried it 2 or 3 times. Y'all tried to help me with it, both you and one of your support system.
And it's because they have to be able to mail you a postcard, and we had it mailed here, and
it got lost in the mail.
It got lost in the mail.
Well, I sent him a second one and used one of Camille's addresses at the hub, because Taylor has an office there too.
And the problem is, if you send it there, they want verification that you're doing business out of there, and all your stuff's here. So,
well, but Taylor, you have something over at the hub, right? Hey, we can't hear you, bud.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not just a shell thing. I mean, he has a real office there.
I know you do.
Yeah.
And if I was the one that made that determination for Google, I would. Yeah. But they are, any of the work from home businesses, which technically you are.
I guess so.
But any of the work from home businesses, they have been suspending those a lot of times because of a change of address or a change of hours, or they want to re-verify to make sure that you're a legitimate business. It used to be really easy. Anybody could set it up anytime, but now they're really cracking down on it. And that's an area that I can also help.
Well, it's like one of those things, do I know what I'm missing? I would prefer it, but it's like after a while dealing with Google, it's like, oh geez, they're just they know who they are in this marketplace. They're the big,
if you would
big
like
gorilla.
help dealing with it, we do Google optimization, and that you can always add
we're
that
gonna
onto
talk
your
about
program.
that. We'll do that Wednesday. Maybe before. I'm sure it's just click, click, click. Well, not really, but as far as
You're a click monster.
I know it. I am.
It doesn't seem to matter what we're talking about.
As far as my generation, do you have to convince people my age, my generation, that you need this kind of promotion, that this is where people go, that they don't go to the Dallas Morning News physical paper? Tiffany's Local Life, the reason why it works is because it's local businesses going to local markets, and she does a great job with it as well.
And it's a great little magazine.
Right.
It really
right.
is.
Now, as far as though, if you want to go be on social media, which she also could help you with, if you want to go on social media, you have to convince people my age, hey, you got to do this. This is the age of technology. This is how your business gets out.
It's
like
not
old
about
days.
convincing.
Uh-huh.
What I do is I point out areas for improvement for you to build your online presence, because at the end of the day, Google is the monster, and the only way to keep a monster happy is to constantly feed it. And the only way you can feed it is through activity on the internet.
Well-
and so posting on social media, getting likes, shares, follows, having reviews, responding to reviews, having multiple listings that are all consistent across the board. These are all ways that you can feed the monster. And it helps move you organically up in the rankings, so making sure that you understand where you currently sit online and how you can improve it, whether you work with me or someone else, or if I give you some free information, it can't hurt.
Well, what's helped me is I'm able to talk to our friends that are interested in sponsorship. I usually let people ask me about it as opposed to me bird dogging people to try to sponsor. But what I could tell them to make them feel like maybe, the sponsorship fee is worth it is I'm on Thryv. And when you advertise on my show, you're not only just going to be on the Facebook and the YouTube, you're going to be worldwide.
Yes.
Essentially. Now, maybe you're not
In
needing
your
that.
case, worldwide.
Right.
I help people with the local marketing. And that's the thing. You can't compete with the big box stores on a national level. But that's not who you're trying to reach. You're trying to reach the people in your local area, because they're the ones that are going to hire you for your services. And if they're going to an Angie's List or something like that, that's a national company outside. But if they're looking locally, hey, I want somebody, a plumber in Burleson or a plumber in Crowley, you want to show up in the local market. And that's what I help people do.
Now, I would say, I have no real way of knowing this, but I would say probably 85% of the people that access this show are probably within 30 minutes of where we're sitting. I maybe have my cousin in Oklahoma hear me, or I may have a couple ex-students. I know of a couple in Kentucky.
I work in Oklahoma too.
Yeah, okay, there you go. But I'm just saying that people, mostly it's local. And I tell people, and all the modesty aside, that if you want to reach the local markets, the two best areas, in terms of advertising is here and with Tiffany. But I'd also say what you do for me makes it a lot easier for people to connect in the local area. That's the biggest thing that Thryv has done for me. It's not, just the scheduling part or helping pay bills, and that's great if you need that. But what's helped me is that I can alert people, hey, my show is on, here's the topic, here's the mayor on, here's somebody from BISD on, and so I can alert them, and Thryv helps me do that a whole lot easier than me just doing it manually by myself all the time.
Yes.
So,
and it's not too expensive.
I made money from it. Okay. I mean, that's the truth of the matter is I pay the fee, but I probably would, I don't know if I'd have the access I would have and the ability to sell my show as being part of a organized marketing program, as opposed to me just ranting and hope you tune in. It'd be nice. I can actually market. And
It's about staying top of mind, allowing people when they're looking to find your information. And that's how I help people.
Well, it's worked for me. And I know you were talking to a couple of our peers at BNI, doing a little, maybe one-to-one with them and all this. And I just told one young man you were talking to in our group, you might want to really think about doing this because it really helps. Because if it's the
same person I'm talking about, we signed him up on
you talk about Caleb?
Thursday. Yes.
Okay, there you go. It must have been my reference.
Now, he is very technical and barely needed any. I mean, I didn't even have to answer any questions. It's interesting, though. A lot of people go, oh, you're in marketing or business automation software. You understand the internet. No. No, if you need help with metadata or whatever, I have people that do that. I am not. I understand the software and I understand how to help small businesses get more business.
Yeah, and you know, when I signed up, I didn't know if I'd see any immediate results, and so I have now. I've been a member of your little group there, your Thryv family, since April, and I would say now, in particular, after being part of it and kept at it, because there is some, you have to work at it some. I mean, I have to create the messages. I can't.
Right.
They don't just pop out of nowhere. I see it now.
But it's quick and easy to
It
make
is. Oh
those
yeah.
messages.
When I get home from my class today, and when I notified that this episode is available on YouTube and whatnot, and I put the phone link and all that, and then do the sharing on the various platforms on Facebook, I would say total 7 to 8 minutes. You know,
and it took a little bit of time to learn how to do it, but once you learned, it was.
I could do it even quicker than that. And so,
I'm just so glad that it's worked so well for you.
well, it has, and I'm glad that we had this opportunity to talk about it, because I really think that I know some people, small businesses, that might really, you know, they think, well, I'm marketing, I'm putting myself on Facebook. Well, great, you know, that's kind of how I approached it. Hey, I'm doing Facebook, isn't that good enough? No, not at all.
Well, and you and I've talked about this before, but when I make an appointment with somebody, the first thing I do is a digital review. If nothing else, you're going to get good information. There's no commitment to get a digital review done.
Why don't we finish this little episode with what's going on with BNI? You mentioned earlier about a group event, a social event, a week from Thursday at 6 o'clock.
Yes, the November 10th. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Windmiller Building.
Let's say I'm a new person visiting. What would you tell me about BNI?
About BNI? Well, I've made some of the best friends and become a part of a community, both Burleson as well as BNI, and it is the greatest thing that's happened in my life in a long time, because I truly feel a part of, and I've been able to establish business relationships that have carried me beyond the meeting every Wednesday morning.
Well, and I would also say that when like I mentioned earlier, I didn't know what to expect. But I thought it'd be just, you know, meet, greet, drink some coffee, have a donut. But I mean, there's become some real development of relationships there, because,
Yes.
you know, in the last year and plus we've been in this group, you know, we've had events happen in our lives, some of them pretty tough. And the group responded not just as members, but as friends.
Yes.
And there's a couple I wish could stay with us, but, you know, sometimes life moves on for them. But we're always looking for members. Now, it's not like we can have 6 or 7 different, I don't know, of the same industry. I mean,
Right.
I hold a seat, you hold a seat, but we still got a lot of seats available.
Yeah, and it is, you know, one person holds each seat, and the reason for that is so that you can build those relationships and have someone that you can refer people to. If there's, you know, people competing for that business, they're not going to get good quality leads, and they're not going to get a lot of them.
Well, and also it lead to rivalries, clicks.
Exactly.
You know, why didn't he tell me instead you told him, and that kind of stuff. And you don't want that in any marketing group, but we have a lot of seats available. Who do you think would be some of the best members? Which groups would benefit the most from joining BNI?
We need a CPA or a bookkeeper, chiropractor,
Yeah.
air conditioning.
Yeah, we had
And
HVAC
plumbing.
guys. We had one, but he was from Arlington. And it just
Yeah,
wasn't
he
working
worked
for
in
him.
a market. He was from another market, and he was traveling to Burleson for the meeting, and it was just too much.
Yeah.
So,
Well, same
a
with
painter.
Christina. Yeah, painter. Yeah, that's unfortunate. She was on the show about 6 months ago. We're going to miss her, but I don't blame her. The drive for her was tough.
And she's still part of BNI, just
Right.
not in Burleson. She's in BNI now, going to be in Longview, I believe.
You know, we also could use some building trades. We have a roofer, so
And a handyman would be great.
yes. And the thing about it is also there is commitment in the group. It isn't like just show up and schmooze and hand your card out. I mean, there are
8:45 Wednesday mornings. We're done by 10, but you are required to be there.
well, as much as you can. We do have, you know, excused absences if you have, but you
Right.
can't overuse that. But they expect you to show up. They expect you to go through the video training, MSP as we call it. There is, fees, a yearly fee, and then we also pay for that hotel room, about $30 a month a piece. But so there's some investment both of time and finances. But I've talked to several people that have thought about joining, and like there's a couple I'll mention off the air that might want to join. And I told them up front, it's going to cost you some money. And that was not the reason. It's
an investment in future business,
and it's tax deductible.
And it was the best investment I've made in a long time.
Well, I've made money from it. I mean, I really have, because I have 3 sponsors. The one just having 3 sponsors from one group, 1 month takes care of my yearly fees easily. So,
and I've been able to turn around and say to my clients that I work with, hey, if you need this service, I know someone that I personally trust.
Yep.
And that makes a big difference, a personal referral.
It does. And we're going to just end it here because we're close on time, but we do invite you at November 10th at the top of the Windmiller building. There's a nice little porch area. Many of you'll probably know it. And we'll just have finger foods and maybe a little refreshments. It's not going to be a hardcore sell. You're not going to be arm twisted. It isn't.
It is a social event to meet other people that want to establish business relationships.
And because we are in a membership push, we want to expand. We like what we're doing. We benefit. We just want to expand. I usually let the guests have the last word. So tell us everything you want to know, not only about yourself but about Thryv, as we sign off. Well,
Thryv is business automation software. And I'm Deedee Simpson. If you would like to speak to me, my phone number is 520-955-7860.
What was it again?
520-955-7860. It is an Arizona prefix, but I have lived in Texas for 3 years and love it and have no intention of going anywhere. I've lived in Burleson for 2.5 months because I love Burleson.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we're glad to have you, and I appreciate what you do for my business, and I appreciate what you do for BNI. I know that you're one of the real main figures of our little group, and
thank you.
Yeah,
I'm really loud. That's another way of saying I'm loud.
No, I'm just saying you're a very active and enthusiastic participant. All right, and that's all I meant, dear. Anyway, Taylor, sign us out before I say anything else. We'll see y'all tomorrow when I have Gabrina Daniels and her guest, Jeremy Bleeker of Edward Jones.
Thanks for having me.
No problem.